Elon Musk has really avoided the spotlight, I think, since last spring, after Doge utterly collapsed and people were blowing up Teslas and Tesla dealerships. So it's been a minute since we've seen a whole lot from Elon Musk, but he did this interview. And most of the interview was about AI and about technology in the future and so on. But then it got pretty political. And he was asked about his support for the far right in Europe and about some of his rhetoric about immigration and some of these issues, specifically in the United Kingdom. And the interviewer, Economist is a British publication, she's British. She said, don't you think you're abusing your power? You're worth all this money. You have the X platform. You got 250 million followers. What gives you the right to intervene in our society? Don't you think it's irresponsible? You don't even live here. You're abusing your power and platform to push this message about the United Kingdom on the brink of a civil war due to mass migration. And Elon fires back. And I thought it was an interesting exchange. He says, you know, I'm not really even far right. He said, I view this as a civilizational issue. The West is under attack. He says, and I don't even see myself as far right. He said, I see myself as a normal person. I don't support the far right in Europe. He said, I support the normal people that want borders, that want safe cities. I support common sense. And the interviewer took a sort of personal turn. They always let the mask slip. She comes back at him and says, you know, this is why people hate you. She says, this is why everyone loathes you. And Elon fires back and says, well, actually, I think more people like me than don't like me. He said, and not only that, but more people don't like you than you realize. People hate the press. He said, and people hate you. You should wake up to this. And this is a story from the New York Post. It says, quote, Elon Musk fired back at the Economist editor-in-chief, Zanny Minton Beddoes, during an interview after she said people loathed him over his efforts to influence European politics. Musk said, I think a lot more people hate you in the media, more than you realize. She confronted the Tesla CEO after challenging his support for right-wing European political parties and arguing that his wealth, ownership of X, and following on the platform gave him unusual power to shape politics abroad. She said, why should you be able to shape European politics? You don't even live here. She said, do you see why this makes people think that this man who has all this power, he's the world's richest man, he thinks he has a right to influence our politics? It's why people loathe you. I mean, some people loathe you, she says. Musk dismissed the criticism by pointing to his roughly 250 million followers on X as evidence that he has had more supporters than detractors. He blasted her, claiming a lot more people hate you in the media than you realize. He said, maybe some people do loathe me, and that's probably true. I don't care. But the fact that, as you pointed out, 250 million people follow me is that I think a lot more people like me than don't. Do you realize the media is despised? Do you realize journalists, the view of journalists is like 15% favorability? Beddoes acknowledged that trust in American journalism was low, but argued that polarization on social media contributed to the problem. She said, I think in part there have been mistakes by journalists and journalism. But I also think that the kind of polarized environment on social media fostered by the things you are pushing on X makes it worse. Musk rejected her argument. He said the shoe is on the other foot. They hate you. They hate you far more than they hate me. You're the problem. The exchange followed a lengthy disagreement about Musk's warnings that Britain could face civil war and his backing of far-right European parties. Musk rejected the label and framed his positions around border security, public safety, and government spending. He said, I literally said, look, I believe in safe cities, secure borders, and sensible spending with respect to government. That doesn't make me right-wing at all in the least. So I saw this exchange, and I said this a few weeks ago.
Elon Musk is a bit of a LARPer, and the LARP changes with time. Like a few months ago, he was saying that anybody who disagrees with his own take on immigration, which is more Indians to work in Silicon Valley, they can fuck themselves in the face. So he's not against immigration. He's for the kind of immigration that benefits him and his friends in Silicon Valley. So he's not right-wing on that at all, because somebody like Nick would object to hundreds of thousands of Indians or whatever, Chinese, coming to work in technology. He would want these jobs going to Americans. But Elon Musk is for that, is for foreign labor. And even in Europe, you might see in the media people in the streets of Europe like 18-year-old asylees, like asylum seekers. And they are running around, they are being hooligans. But at the end of the day, most people from the third world going to Europe, they have jobs. They really work as like engineers or whatever. They have actual jobs and they have families. The kind of immigration that Elon Musk supports. This is just the truth.
He supports H-1B visas. He supports diversity. He supports legal immigration into the country.
Exactly.
Apparently talks to Netanyahu all the time, which is not good. Nikita Beer runs X, which is a really bad idea. I said, but when you get out there in the real world, and you're seeing this more and more, and you actually meet these left-wing people, not just the people in the media and the people in the DSA and Hollywood, but even just your average leftist. And they exist everywhere, in the Midwest, in the South, in the big cities. These people are fucking crazy. You go through the laundry list of the things they believe. I saw Hassan Piker did a lightning round with some DSA progressive candidate. He goes, do you support Medicare for all? Yes. Do you support universal child care? Yes. Do you support abolishing prisons and police and abolishing ICE? And do you support destroying Israel? And do you support, and they throw in destroy Israel to get people on board. And do you support this and open borders and queer liberation and this, that, and the other? You realize these people are totally insane.
I used to resist this idea that they're throwing Israel in there just to get the support of like people like me, for example. But then it's just putting Israel in a sentence, and then every other word in this sentence is just crazy bullcrap, like queer liberation, whatever, like free supermarkets and these things. So I stopped supporting people like Hassan. I used to like him, actually. I still like some of his takes, but if everything you advocate is against common sense, morality, and then you're just against Israel, I don't know.
The left is still the enemy. There are some people that are telling us now that the left and right is not real. It's a fake divide. The left and right was created by the billionaire class to get us to fight each other. Well, be that as it may.
That's Tucker Carlson.
The left is still our enemy. Whether the billionaires created them or what their intention is, these people are crazy. They're in Madison, Wisconsin right now, burning down the city, sacking bars and stores and restaurants, taking control over multiple city blocks because the police shot somebody who had 42 prior convictions, who was armed with a knife. And these people are out there with bullhorns screaming in people's faces about Black Lives Matter. These are people that went to Minneapolis, beating up ICE agents, kicking their cars, trying to intervene and stop arrests because we were going after Somali scammers that were looting the public coffers of billions of dollars and siphoning it to Somalia or to scams in the city in Minneapolis. So these people, they're psycho. They don't believe in borders. They don't believe in families. They don't believe in law and order. They don't believe in anything good. It's like that Senate candidate in Texas, James Tallarico. This is like a white male. He professes to be Christian. He's running in Texas. And they ask him, what do you love? What's something that you love? And he goes, transgender children. Transgender children. You see TikToks about children being transitioned by their parents. This is what's going on the left. These people are the enemy. And sometimes you forget that. I feel like some people on our side forgot that in the past couple of years with all the anti-Israel stuff. We were all so against Israel, so against the war in Gaza, so against the war in Iran, that we sidled up next to Hassan Piker and Cenk Uygur and the Young Turks. And we said, hey, we're kind of on the same side. We're both against genocide. Yeah, we're both against Netanyahu. They shouldn't launch missiles at Greta Thunberg from Europe. Maybe we have more in common than we don't. And then you started to see this slate of DSA candidates getting elected. Then you saw Zohran Mamdani's people get elected in New York, and their platform is literally queer liberation, abortion on demand, abolish and prosecute ICE, abolish prisons, abolish the police, BLM, legalize all illegal aliens, government-run grocery stores with prices pegged at 30% below market level, and rent control, and free healthcare, and free housing, and free this, and free Palestine, right? And, people signed up because of that. And you realize, no, these people are the enemy. They still exist. And by the way, if they win, they're going to wreck everything. You might say left and right is an artificial divide. Okay, well, guess what happens? The left is going to become the governor, and the left is going to become the president, and the left are going to have all the judges, and they're going to run Congress, and you know what they're going to do? They're going to take all the money from white people, and they're going to give it all to non-white people. They're going to legalize all the illegals. They're going to open the borders. They're going to give free healthcare and then invite the whole world to come and take it. They're going to let the prisons out of the jail and onto the subways to kill everybody. They're going to get rid of cash bail. They're going to stop the cops from arresting people. They're going to abolish the cops. Like, this is the world they're going to create. And then have Tucker Carlson tell you, oh, it's all fake. There's no such thing as the left. There's no such thing as the left. Really? Well, when your city and your mid-sized town and your suburb and even a rural town somewhere else, when you got black people driving out there to loot all the businesses and you can't shoot back, the police won't chase them or arrest them, when the government's bankrupt, when the country's overrun by illegal aliens, you go and say, oh, well, the good news is they're against Israel or something. Well, the good news is, they're against whatever. No, they are the enemy. And here's my problem with what Elon Musk said and even what he does. He needs to recognize, and maybe he does on some level, and this is tactical, They hate him. They hate all of us. This journalist, she could barely contain her hatred. She's arguing with him. She goes, you use your power. You don't live here. And you're telling everybody there's a civil war in the UK because of immigrants. She goes, this is why people loathe you. She goes, some people loathe you. This is the editor-in-chief of The Economist. She goes, this is why people hate you. And she hates him. She absolutely hates him. And I'm sure this is true of all the mainstream media, and it's true of all the major universities, and it's true of the entire Democrat machine, and it's true of all the far left. And why do you think they hate Elon Musk? They don't hate Elon Musk because of Israel. They don't. You want to know why they hate Elon Musk, and you want to know why they hate Donald Trump? Because Donald Trump and Elon Musk represent white excellence. That's why they hate them.
I don't know if they represent white excellence, though. Like, really? Trump, crypto scammer, and Elon Musk is a scammer in another way, in my opinion. In my opinion, he's successful in everything, but he's more of a scammer than a genius.
They hated Trump before the fucking Epstein files. Newsflash, stupid. Jeffrey Epstein died in prison in what, 2019? The left hated Trump in 2016, before the Epstein files, before Bill Barr was appointed to be the Attorney General. They hated Trump before Trump took money from AIPAC in March of 2016, before he took money from the Adelsons. They always hated Trump, and they loved Elon. They only started hating Elon when he started supporting Trump, when he allowed free speech on Twitter. And he bought Twitter long before October 7th, about a full year before October 7th. So don't give me this, oh, well, Trump is the Epstein class, and, well, Trump is with Israel. They hated Trump before that. They hated Elon before that. Why did they hate Trump? Why did they hate Elon? You may not like Trump, and you may not like Elon, and I've got my criticisms of them also. They hate Trump and Elon because they represent white excellence. They represent patriarchy. They represent success. They represent industry. Trump is a real estate developer. He's a businessman. Elon Musk is an engineer, is a titan of industry. Tesla is one of the biggest American automakers. They're the first of this century and one of the most valuable in the entire world. SpaceX, Starlink, Starshield. And what's more than that, not only are they titans of industry, not only are they builders, not only are they big, tall, white guys, the thing that the left hates most about them is they have no white guilt. That's what they can't stand. They're not apologetic to the indigenous and the marginalized and the disaffected and so on. They're indifferent to their plight, maybe contemptuous of their plight. And Elon and Trump are not deferential to women. They're not doing this whole futurist female thing. That's what they really can't stand. That Trump and Elon are proud. They are proud white men. And they also represent white civilization. The two of them, they're not just championing conservatism. This is why the Democrats can now get over George W. Bush, and they can get over John McCain, and they can say, oh, I miss Bush and I miss John McCain, because Trump and Elon have a civilizational consciousness. Trump is not a conservative, and neither is Elon. Elon's not even right-wing. Elon might even be pretty liberal. But Trump and Elon both have an awareness and a consciousness that our civilization exists. We have a civilization. It's distinct. It's unique. It's worth preserving.
I agree, but Elon Musk, in fact, is an immigrant from South Africa. He's white, but he's an immigrant from South Africa. It's just the truth.
They're proud of it, and they want to fight for it. They want to build walls around it to distinguish it from the outside world, to give it definition, to protect it and what's inside from the people on the outside that would destroy it. They want to take the people that don't belong, that don't appreciate it, and remove them through remigration or mass deportations. This is why the left, this is why the affluent white female liberal head of The Economist hates Elon. That's why these people hate Trump. So don't get it twisted. We don't like Trump and Elon because Elon wants H-1B Indians, because Trump isn't doing mass deportations. They hate Trump and Elon because Elon is talking about remigration, because Trump said the word mass deportations. It's very different. Don't forget that. We may have something in common with the left, that we're unhappy with Trump and Elon, but it's not even remotely for the same reason. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. The left sees Trump as a dictator and a king. We want him to be a dictator and a king. The left sees Elon as this right-wing fascist oligarch. We want him to be a right-wing fascist corporatist oligarch. The left says Trump is sending the Gestapo door to door to do mass deportations. We're saying he's not doing that. He should do more of that. There's 20 million illegal aliens. Half of them came in here in 4 years, a few years ago. It's totally insane. They get to stay here forever now. The border was open for 3 years. A population the size of New York City moved here. No takesies Backsies, they're here forever. Enjoy paying for their healthcare and education and housing for 100 generations. It's a Gestapo if we want to say you got to go back to Honduras. So understand, Elon needs to understand this. You need to understand this. You may not see yourself as far right. Maybe you don't want to call yourself far right, but you are. That's how they see you. You may not see yourself that way. That's how they see you. You may not want this conflict of visions, but the conflict of visions is here. It's going to go one of two ways. Either they're going to win or we're going to win. If they win, they fuck everything up. What happens if the left wins? The anti-Israel left. Oh, the anti-Israel too. They like Thomas Massey. What happens when they win? What do you think happens when they give away free healthcare, free childcare, free education, free this, free that? One, the country goes bankrupt. But two, combined with open borders, all these savages move here. All these people from other countries that don't know anything about anything. They don't speak the language. They don't have skills. They have no history of liberalism or democracy. They don't share values. They're not Christian. They lie. They all come here, and this country accelerates into third world status, and we don't have anything. Our cities are dirty, disgusting, violent, corrupt, poor. We can't understand one another. There's constant friction in daily life. There's noise. I mean, objectively, society becomes less beautiful, less good, more wicked. Everything we love is taken from us. The architecture, the culture, our heritage, our prosperity, our safety, our traditions. Everything that we identify with in America dies. And there's nowhere else we could go because the same thing is happening to Europe. The same is not true of all these other people. If the Haitians get tired of the mess they've created here, they could always go back to Haiti. Oh, we're home. And if the Somalians get tired of the mess they created in Minneapolis, they could go to Somalia. And if the Venezuelans get tired of the mess they created here, they could always go home to Venezuela. And same for the Indians, and same for the Chinese, and same for the Filipinos, and same for the Mexicans, and same for every group that comes here. But for the white people, where are we going to go? Because the same thing is happening to the UK, and the same thing is happening to Germany, and the same thing is happening to France, and Italy, and Spain, and Portugal, and the Netherlands, and Belgium, all the countries, Ireland. It's happening to all of them. So either they win, and they wreck everything, or we win. We have to win. There is a we. We are on a team. We have to band together, and we have to fight and do everything we can, and we have to win. And so Elon is in this conversation and says, well, I'm not far right. I'm pro-normal. Well, it's not pro-normal. Normal is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. Normal for whom? Because filth and noise and chaos, that's normal in India. That's normal in the Philippines. That's normal in the Congo. That's normal in most of the world. When you say, I just want borders and safety, and I just want government efficacy, and I just want fiscal responsibility, yeah, that's normal for us. That's not the norm everywhere else. That's the essence of the problem. What is normal here in the West is exceptional. It is unique. It is remarkable. It is worth preserving because it is so abnormal everywhere else. Everywhere else you go, that's why no one wants to live anywhere else. That's why white people are not pouring into Africa. Africans are pouring into Europe. That's why white people are not pouring into Latin America. Hispanics are pouring into the United States. That's why white people are not pouring into India. Indians are pouring into our countries. So when Elon says, hey, I'm not far right, I'm not a far right ethno-nationalist, I'm just normal. That makes you a far right ethno-nationalist. If you want to keep normal, if you want to preserve normalcy as we understand it, where we have electric cars and rocket ships and satellites and progress and science fiction and technological development and productivity, then we're going to have to remigrate all these people, and they're not going to want to go. And they're going to call you a racist Nazi kicking and screaming all the way. And we have to be willing to take that. So that's the problem. Elon will pay lip service to all these things, but he needs to deploy the capital, needs to take a stand. You're a trillionaire. And I recognize he's in a difficult position, but have you ever considered if those questions that she asked him were asked to the left-wing billionaires? Does George Soros ever get asked, don't you think you have too much power? Don't you think you're abusing your influence to remake society in your image? For open borders? For abolish the police? For BLM? Never. And he would own it anyway. He's writing a treatise about it. He's doing it in the open. It's called the Open Society Foundation.
George Soros and all these left-wing billionaires, they are not really keen on appearing in the media. They don't want to be public figures. Elon Musk is desperate to be looked at. Like, he's on Twitter all day, all night. That's his thing. He wants to be he wants to be cool, actually. He's famous already, but he wants to be liked. He wants to be cool. He tried to be a gamer. He's on Joe Rogan every other month. That's his thing. So,
And the problem is our oligarchs are just not willing to play that role in the system.
if George Soros was doing that, I think he would be asked contentious questions. But he's avoiding the media. He's doing his thing. So nobody can get to him.
Same way.
How many people know what George Soros looks like?
So that's my admonition to Elon. We appreciate everything he's done. He bought the platform. He brought the far right back. But Elon, really, we need a systematic effort. We need to deploy the capital, get these people elected. Zuckerberg did 300 million in 2020, and I recognized Elon did about 275 in 2024. But he's going to need to, I think, develop a more sophisticated political apparatus to push a much more far-right line. It's at that point. You look at the direction the Democrats are going in with the DSA and all that kind of stuff, and the right is just not where it needs to be. They're talking about the America Party. It's about cutting the deficit and stuff. It's like, it's not about cutting the deficit. It's about, we need to disable the left. We need to throw their activists in jail. We need to deport their future voter base. We need to go after the institutions that are a locus for their power. But it's just that willingness is not there. So anyway, that's that. I do want to move on. I want to get into our super chats. We'll see.
So that's Nick's take. I think he's a little bit projecting what he wants them to think onto them. I don't think Musk wants less immigration, not even in terms of volume. He just wants a different kind of immigrants. He wants the high IQ Indian engineers. Nick is against that. So even if the left sees Musk as far right, he isn't. And it doesn't really matter. If you are actually far right, then you are against all immigration. Nobody, even on the left, I think, is for importing more criminals from the third world. Nobody actually thinks that, okay? But it's not about paperwork on the right. For Musk, it is, because that's what makes him money. He's for legal immigration in high numbers as long as they make him more billions. Trump, I don't think he cares at this point. And we all agree that he's the one standing between the people who want to achieve change and like building a wall or something like that. Okay, so I agree with him on the main point, but I don't think, like, if Musk sat down with Nick, they would disagree on almost everything. And I think Musk, since he's a LARPer, he was embraced by the right after he bought Twitter. And he leaned into that because he likes the fan base. He wants it. But the second they disagreed with him on HB1s, he said, hey, take a step back and fuck yourself in the face. That was literally his tweet. Anyway, thank you very much. Like and subscribe.